Before we begin, Telltale's Batman is a game affected greatly by the way you play the game and the choices you make. Showing you any of these choices could be potentially very spoilerific, so this is going to be an audio-only review, so that nothing gets spoiled for you. The last few years have been absolutely filled to the brim with great Batman and Telltale games, and when they announced at last year's Game Awards that these two names would be creating a game together, it seemed like a match made in heaven. And for the most part, it still might be, though Telltale's Batman stumbles a little getting out of the gate, but it's a very strong entry in what may become Telltale's strongest game yet. If you've played a Telltale game before, you know mostly what you're in for here. Tough decision making, difficult dilemmas, and characters remembering things about the choices you make, and quick-time events standing in for combat sequences. But Telltale have upped their game here with new mechanics as well. Batman features a detective-style mechanic where you piece together aspects of a crime scene to see what happened. It's a nice idea, especially for this slower kind of Batman game. Although I'd like to go more in depth with it. It'd be nice to use this mechanic to solve actual puzzles and discover new characters in the game, rather than just putting clue A with clue B. I'd like to feel challenged by the mechanic, and have my success make me feel as good as the detective himself. Of all the moving parts of this game, it's the writing that will be make or break for it. Balancing Bruce Wayne, Batman, Gotham, and its villains is no easy task. For the most part though, Telltale seems to know what they're doing, though the writing is far from spotless. The first half of this chapter spends a lot of time on exposition, and hammering home some key points about Bruce Wayne that we already know. Did you know, for example, that his parents were gunned down and he's an orphan? The second half is far better, with a much more faster pace and some genuinely tense decisions, but it doesn't feel as though it was built up to properly. One thing that really got on my nerves, however, is the game showing me choices which, when chosen, led to Bruce Wayne saying something totally different. I found you had to settle into making the right choices in the game rather than it being clear from the outset. The final thing to mention here is Telltale's engine, which has been the bane, see what I did there, of many of its previous games. Well, it's clearly had some work done on it because Batman is a much smoother and much more polished experience, though it still suffers from a few notable chugs here and there. Episode 1 of Telltale's Batman is full of great potential. It introduces new mechanics that fit the series well, but need more depth. It's full of writing that has the potential to be a great Batman story, but stumbles a little out the gate. But it certainly has let me build the Bruce Wayne and Batman I want, and it shows a lot of promise for the future. Games Up would rate Telltale's Batman Episode 1 as promising.